Good afternoon. Today's video, definitely not planned. The last video, given that I'm in transition, is expected by me to be the last. Yet I have been meditating over the last few days. And in the last 3 days, I've done about 40 hours of meditation. And during today's meditation this morning, for the last few hours, this has arisen. Now, in earlier pieces, I have spoken about, in earlier videos, I've spoken about the Nippons that have been made to become fake, i.e. Japanese and Chinese. And I know some of you are still wondering what that means and how to spot them. And in earlier written pieces on the blog, Heal Humanity, I have written about X-Men being a sign of many bad deeds, and DC Comics and other things like this. And I've spoken about how their education system breaks us and how they coordinate themselves via literatures and television. This video is going to bring a lot of these things together. It's a lot of information, so take your space with it. Make sure you do your breathing first. Bring yourself to a center. Now, anime, cartoons, animation. All of you know what this is. Yet you do not know their true intent. Now, as many of you have come together via the writings and the videos I've put out there, you're beginning to see the true context of the literatures, the programs, what it means for how they manage us. The true context being that of war being brought to us, being death being brought to us, which changes the meaning of all these literatures and programs completely, as many of you now can see. Now, anime, cartoons, began with the writings of Plato. In the Symposium or the Republic, I can't remember which one, I read it so many years ago. He says, bring them to Technavision. It's most probably in the Republic. And this piece was turned by Nietzsche into make them marvel at themselves, which then by Stan Lee became Marvel Comics. You'll understand why Stan Lee goes into the volcano's head first. Now, in the last video, or the 2 videos past, I spoke to you about how you absorb the light through the eyes to grow your spirit, to grow your soul, as you develop your nervous system, so that the body, which is of earth, connects to the soul, which is of the creator, via the conduit's development, which is the nervous system. As I said, when they killed our people, they stole all our material, and they've been, over the last few thousand years, and much longer, using our material to break us. As I said in one of the earlier pieces of writing, the anthropological studies and social development studies that they've done upon our people have been used to a terrifying or frightening effect. And this is it, how they bring us all to death. Now, in the Symposium, he says Technavision, as you probably heard, Technovision, one of those production companies for television. Now, in making you watch television in the manner that they do, and why they've been changing the frequencies of the television so gradually over the last 3 decades, is that it brings you to a false light. You're absorbing a false light from electricity rather than a true light of Ra, the sun, which he's developed the spirit of. Every time you develop that, you absorb that false light. Because when you watch television, as I said in the early piece, you fall into this semi-hypnotic state, very just absorbing the content, absorbing the light. You're not realizing it. Some of you even fall asleep, and while you fall asleep, as I said in pieces, you're absorbing the content while you sleep. When you wake up, you feel there are changes in you, but you don't know what those changes are. This is the things that are brought by Plato's direction in Technavision, developed further by Nietzsche and Make Them Marvel, brought into practice by the television, the radio, and Stan Lee's Marvel Comics, and DC Comics, by the way. Now, as part of utilizing the television to bring you to absorb false light rather than true light of Ra, the animes were developed to this as part of the make them marvel at themselves direction given by Nietzsche. Now, the traitors of Nippon, i.e. the Koreans, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Taiwanese, in the creation of the animes on behalf of the Jews, there's a cartoon called Ikutsudoji. It's Legend of the Overfiend. Now, when you watch this cartoon, you'll see the application of Freud's sexualization of children. You see the application of Plato's sexualization of children in the schools via the laws, Plato's laws. How you get girls to dress up very scantily to tantalize the boys during their puberty periods, where they can't control their energy, and with lack of direction of their energy, they end up becoming over-sexualized. Plus the psychology applied by Freud. Now, how this is a coordination between the Slavs across the earth is that during the cartoon, the anime, that is the Kutsi-Doji, Legend of the Overfiend, you'll see a Jewish star of David, which is actually a sign of Solomon, he of great wisdom. And another flick, you'll see the French flag, then you'll see the German flag, then you'll see the Italian flag. Now, this isn't the flags of those people. This is the flags of the Slavs, a message to the Slavs who now run these lands around the earth, and how in these lands they're supposed to bring the direction as per this program, even if it's exaggerated in the movies, because that's what they do, they over-exaggerate, and that's what Marvel Comics, DC Comics, the whole idea that is behind superheroes does. It exaggerates your true qualities that you get via development of the nervous system growing into your spirit, the super qualities that come from being connected to the super consciousness via the nervous system development. Now, in this program, you'll see that they bring the girls to being raped in schools, and they show it via monsters, because they are monsters, they're admitting the truth in that. They show the boys being brought to over-sexualization from with the girls, just becoming silly nonsense. And that's what you see today in much Japanese society. You see these stupid boys, because they're no longer men, buying girls' panties from machines on a wall. Stupid. They just become all idiots. Now, Ekutsu Joji coordinates the school system, the education plan. It coordinates Freud's plan in over-sexualization of the children, and Plato's plan in bringing sexuality among the children, as in per the laws, and how mothers and everything are involved in this process via how they guide their daughters and their sons. And you see this in the Kutsi-Doji. Now, how they manage you on a societal basis, how they pair you up, as I said, one of the poems, to the good people, is shown via the cartoon Dragon Ball Z. Now, billions of children are watching this all over the earth. Now, Dragon Ball Z begins with the Red Army and Goku's victory over the Red Army. But the Red Army are the German army. You see it in their uniform. Now, what this is showing is that this plan is applied from that moment of the end of the Second World War, or the Second Tribal War, which was the Slavs all managing the earth, getting us to kill ourselves, like they did during the 100-Year War, the Conference of the Princes, getting us to kill ourselves, reduce our numbers, while they managed the earth and bring us to the death via war that they wanted. Now, it shows Goku with a monkey's tail, because they're talking about Morenos being monkeys, which you can clearly see in how they speak about Africans, Caribbeans, and Americans as a whole pre-Euro invasion, and the Aborigines and the Australians, native Australians. They call them monkeys. Now, this is a clear connection. They call Goku a monkey by putting a monkey tail in it. And as he's civilized throughout the program, he loses his monkey tail. And this is what they're doing with us. As they civilize us in their social and civil system of society, we lose our monkey tails, less animal, and become more like them, they say, of mankind. Now, also in the process, you'll see that he meets Roshi, his master. Now, it's a depiction of how a teacher is called a master in society by those who are Morenos. And Roshi has a turtle shell on his back. And now, this is a clear connection to the story of Mercury. Now, in the story of Mercury, Mercury takes the lyre made of an old but very valuable turtle shell, and he gives his brother a symbol of wisdom, which has no value, it's just a symbol. But what the lyre is a depiction of the body itself, the strings playing the body to your own tune via implicit conditioning. And that's what the lyre represents. It's about implicitly conditioning the body. The turtle shell representing nature, animals, the strength that you develop as you are when you're real, and the sign that he gave him for this turtle shell being a weakness and nothing. So they take everything and give you nothing in the process, as depicted in the story of Mercury. And also shown via this turtle shell on Master Roshi Dragon Ball Z. Another thing is very telling. Saiyans. Saiyans are just Naya, backwards, Nayas. They changed the spelling of Saiyans later on in the program, but at the beginning it was just Saiyans. Now, backward Naya. Naya in Catalan, in Swahili, means those of the clouds. And those people who are our people, or Syrian, Catalan, these people were turned back in the day, those of the clouds, those who lived in the skies, mentally, spiritually, because they're connected to the Creator via the absorbing of the light of Ra. And this is in Dragon Ball Z. Now, as Goku gets civilized, he meets a friend, that little Chinese boy. Now, that friend is a depiction of, as I've said in earlier writings, the monkey on your back. So the person who's standing beside you, the friend they give you in daily society, that's forever managing your behavior, changing your view upon things, by making you do the things they say are right and not make you do the things they say are wrong. And this little Chinese boy, Krillin, that's it, he is the one that represents the friend on your back, the coordination in society of them upon all Morenos, which is why they keep the number of Morenos in their countries to a certain number, so they can keep you surrounded and managed. And they bring you in slowly but surely as they manage and broken the rest of the people who are already in their lands in America and those of Europe and South Americas. As he grows, he meets the daughter of the Viking, the king of the Vikings, the Slavs. Now, Goku represents the dark-skinned Morenos. Vegeta represents the light-skinned Morenos. The dark-skinned Morenos are brought to partnership with the Slavs, as you can see via Bulma, the daughter of the king, the Viking king. And the lighter skinned Morenos are paired up with the Jews, as you can see by Vegeta's pairing up with his mate in there. I can't remember the name of his mate. She's a Jew, and the way she's represented as a Jew is a lady who's the top of commerce. And even in the world today, we hear the Jews speaking of those who are of commerce, and she represents the Jews in that. Now, also, as the development throughout the generations, you'll see slowly but surely Bulma's pulling Goku away from training, getting him into business, getting to bring money in the house, getting to bring food in the house. So he's taking him more and more away from nature and more towards a social and civil world, and the duties required of a social and civil world, as money is required rather than living in nature and everything is free. And she's always worried about this need for money, need for food, and she wants her children to be able to earn this rather than become true Saiyans, Nayas, those who have the clouds, developed of a spirit. Now, his child marries who? The daughter of Satan. Now, it's very clear that Satan is also another Slav, and he represents those who steal your glory. All the stuff you do, as you see Goku and Vegeta save the earth on many occasions, he gets all their glory, he gets all the reward. And you see this every day in a social system that is employment. Like all the Morenos in work, and you can see it via my career if you just checked on LinkedIn, all the things I've done. And it's funny because I've been the head of finance and I'm paying all these people in the companies. I'm signing off payrolls. And I'm seeing all my reward being paid to everyone because I'm making the payments. Stupid little idiots. But this story between Satan and Goku is representative of that among all our people around the world, among the Slavs and Jews in their social system that is employment. He gets a reward, and every now and again he gives Goku a kickback when Goku comes begging for some money because Bulma's giving him a hard time because she needs money to feed the children and pay all the bills. And this happens in society today. Now, Goku's son, then married to the daughter of Satan, has another son, and his son is brought into the education system, taken away from fighting, taken away from nature. And you can see this from the second tribal war, that is World War II, to today. This is exactly what has taken place among all Morenos of the earth. The Catalan of the eastern coast of España, the Catalan of the northern regions of Africa, all the Africans and Caribbeans around the earth have been brought into their social and civil systems that are employment. You see this exact same thing taking place. The Lear representative in the story of the turtle shell on Roshi's back, implicitly conditioning all the children to bring them towards their societies via the friend that's on their shoulder, Krillin, telling them what to do and what not to do as per their social and civil system, society. And you can see all of this, and they've coordinated themselves in this cartoon, which is why the cartoon first came out in the 1930s, just before the end of the Second World War, so they can coordinate the behavior beforehand. And then it was written again after the 1930s to incorporate the stuff of Maslow and the hierarchy of needs and everything into the story more appropriately than they did the first time round. So you can see that they have married up the writings of Plato, the writings of Nietzsche, and made these cartoons to bring you to false light, so you're no longer developing your spirit, and implicitly condition you to become the lesser beings you now all become, Homo erectus, like them, so that they can put themselves above you in a social system that is economy, the monetary system, not economy, the monetary system, financial system that they created to put themselves above you because they are lesser to you in truth. Now also, there's I know that there are a number of you out there who, some of you have been made to see that I was a traitor when I was younger, and many of you made bad decisions because you believed I was a traitor. Now the planning that brought this possibility about was from Milton. It was before Milton, but Milton put it into solid terms that they could apply to over myself and to you guys to keep the split between myself and all my people who I'm doing everything to save. In Milton's Paradise Lost, he writes, "Every good thing you do shall be turned to bad, and it matters not what good you do, it will always become bad." And you'll see this in everything I've done in society, all the things I've done in medicine to bring about new ways of healing, all the things I've done in finance to bring about better ways of earning for our people and everybody, all the things I've done in science. It's all being used to kill our people rather than the good I expected it to do. And it's not just how it's applied upon me, it's applied upon all our people. They make you feel you're doing something for good, and they use it to kill your people. You're unwittingly being used to kill your own by them using your genius in producing things that they can no longer do, but your mind can, in killing your people. And this plan was solidified in Milton's Paradise Lost. And this is like 1600s, 17th century. So you can see how long they've been building this planning into effect and coordinated among themselves. So you can now see that the position between us, you, my people, and myself, has been actively coordinated over the last 3.5 centuries and more, but much more so since the Renaissance. The position between yourselves, how you become enemies to each other, and as I've said in an earlier piece, turned away from your own motivations, turned away from your own needs to having their motivations and their needs, how it's been orchestrated via the cartoons, Dragon Ball Z and Ikotsudoji, the Legend of the Overfiend, and how our children have been brought to become over-sexualized, and our girls have been brought to whoredom in how it's been applied in these programs. And you can see this, because I've been trying to make you see that it's not just the literatures that they coordinate their behavior and their activities through that they apply upon us, but it's all the programs too. Another example, the maddening crowd. Take a look at the maddening crowd and you'll see, as I speak about in one of the poems, the cafe situation, where they surround you and do all their soliloquies to push you towards the good people, as represented in the story of Dragon Ball Z. In the maddening crowd, you're seeing them coordinate their behaviors, instructing each other on how this is done in that film. It goes back a lot further than this. Aeschylus, Euripides, Sophocles, Menander. You see, these are the original comedies and tragedies that show this vignettes of behavior and how they manage our people, which was also put into Shakespeare. Shakespeare, every single story that written by this mythical Shakespeare, he wasn't real, and it's going to be in the book if I get to finish it. No, not if. When I finish it, he was not a real man, not a real person. And none of the stories are written by one person. They're written by thousands of people in their research upon our data that they stole in making these writings. And all the stories show vignettes of behavior, how they break our people, break our ladies, turn our ladies against our men. You can see that in Macbeth, in King Lear. You can see it in Othello, how they bring us to theirs. And there's always the pain of death in the process if you make a step wrong on the path of them managing you or you becoming their protector. You can see all these things. The Tempest. So you can see all this is there. And as you see this, the reason why I bring this out now, even though I've given you so much already, is because I am hearing and I'm feeling that there are many that, even though you're beginning to see the need, you're still trying to find the excuses of why you're not going to do the things I've shown you to that you are going to do in saving the earth, yourselves, and myself for one. These people are never going to stop doing the things they do. They are never going to stop killing your children. If the last 7,000 years are not enough proof, if the last 3,000 years of written history is not enough proof that they are doing nothing but killing you, and therefore you need to stand up now as necessary and throw every single one of them in the volcanoes, every male, every female, it matters not of their age. Everyone goes in. They have no spirit, remember. I told you in one of the earliest videos, that will take back the things that it gave, i.e. the soul. And they no longer have a soul, which is why their eyes go black or grey, to let you know. And it's not just the Jews and the Slavs, it's some of the traitors too. And I have actively been going around the earth for the last 4 years, absorbing everybody's souls who need to be absorbed. I wrote it in an earlier piece, absorbing, resolving, transforming, sharing. I absorb your soul and all the malignance in an area. I resolve it. I transform it back to the energy of oneness, and then I share the love into the region that I've now cleansed. And this is why everybody was attacking me, because they could feel it. I've been doing this for years, and this is the reason why you can now end them, because they have no spirits. And it's the one and only moment in all our existence, the universe, creation, and everything are in concurrence on this. You end them. Take care, my beautiful people. Utilize the breath, keep developing your nervous system, absorb the light of Ra when you can to develop your spirit. Your katanas are waiting for you to use them, my brothers. And my sisters, our children require your protection. Our children require your guidance as you bring yourselves back to oneness. Truth, light, and love, my beautiful people.